senators are outraged after President Uhuru Kenyatta signed into law the appropriations bill, even before the stalemate over the division of revenue bill called, or do I say DRB, as it is also called, which is the acronym, is resolved. The law gives the national government the legal force to go ahead and spend 1.95 trillion shillings as appropriated by the National Assembly last week. Article 218 of the Constitution provides that DORB divides the revenue raised among the national and the county governments and introduces the issue in Parliament at least 2 months before the end of the financial year. Although the bill flopped at the mediation stage after the National Assembly and Senate failed to agree on a new version, a new bill is yet to be published. The flopped bill had recommended that the national government gets 1.9 trillion shillings and 310 billion shillings for the counties for the financial year 2019-2020. However, the Senate amended it to reflect 335 billion shillings to the county or to the county governments as recommended by the Commission on Revenue Allocation, which did not agree with the National Assembly. At the mediation committee, representatives of the National Assembly agreed to have counties get 316 billion shillings. So the senators are headed to the courts. Aaron Cheriot.
Well, the issue of Senator going to court it is not only about division of revenue. In fact, division of revenue came as a later addition to the whole debacle that we currently have between us and National Assembly. But it has everything to do with laws that have been considered by National Assembly and was sent straight for assent by the President without passing through the Senate on issues that affect counties and ordinarily, as per the dictates of the Constitution, Article 110, 114, should have first been debated in the Senate. And there are about 15 of such bills that as a House we put together, and we feel instead of us exchanging insults and trading barbs the way things have been happening the past few weeks, perhaps the best thing to do is to take this matter back to the Supreme Court for determination, like we did way back in 2013 in advisory opinion number, I think, 3 of the Supreme Court in terms of this division of revenue, where at that particular time it was the feeling in the National Assembly that Senate had completely nothing to do with the division of revenue. Of course, the Supreme Court made the right decision because as per Article 218 of our Constitution, it speaks, and the words are very clear, about 2 months before the end of each financial year, there shall be introduced in Parliament, and that was a contestation. This Constitution is so clear. Each and every time they want to refer something to the National Assembly, they say it in black and white, National Assembly. When it says Parliament, it means Parliament, and our Parliament is bicameral, you know? And for a good number of time, we have never been able to properly resolve this particular issue. So it's really unfortunate that things have to get to this level. I felt, and this is something that I've said, I don't know if the rest of my colleagues agree with me, but if as the political party, the majority political party in Parliament, Jubilee was properly functional, the country wouldn't be at this point. Because how we were able to navigate through this last Parliament is that each and every time before the introduction of division of revenue, there would be a meeting of leadership from both houses, and informal discussion about what the figures and estimates will begin at that particular point. But as it is now, everybody is speaking their language. Senators are stuck on 335, though at the time that they went to mediation, they felt they had been convinced by their colleagues in the mediation committee of the National Assembly to move from 335 to 327. Our colleagues in the National Assembly, unfortunately, I don't know which world they live in, because last year they had devolved 314, but the division of revenue bill that they passed devolved 310. That is, first of all, unconstitutional, because the revenues cannot be growing. We cannot be having taking all factors into consideration, inflation and all those other things. Then you devolve lesser funds than what you devolved the previous year. Credit to them, though, they had made that realization, and at the time of the collapse of the mediation talks, they had moved to 316, therefore, which was a 2 billion increase. But 2 billion split between 47 counties, a very small figure. Therefore, that's the whole debate that we have about it. I think it was not properly advised of a president to sign. It's not neat. It's not how a proper functioning government, especially one with majority in both houses of parliament, should be functioning, where you now have to sign half of 50% of the appropriations bill. Then later on, once we agree, we sign the other. It would have been more neater if you completed the whole thing at this point.
Right, Jacob, briefly on this as well.
I'll be very brief. I think it shows that this bicameral system is not working. I think if we are going to keep the Senate, let us go to this referendum and either make them equal or make the Senate an upper house. Because I think what the National Assembly is doing, it's helping us from advancing our wishes to have proper devolution. That is what the National Assembly is doing. And I can tell you, if you read in the papers, last week I read in one of the papers, a county, I think it was here, where even the vehicles are not working, nothing is happening. They are now taking the Senate away, even their little ability they would have had to monitor the progress of devolution, they are taking it away. Now we are doing political arguments. So I think it is good for us to defocus and say, how do we resolve this stalemate, but do it in law.
Do it in law.
Yeah.
Right. Let's hear from Bone Halwale.
I think this issue of the House is going, the MPs taking each other to court, I think it is an act of desperation.
Desperation from the Senate?
Yes.
Okay.
I have seen two ways in which our Senate is desperate. The first one is that they are attempting to give themselves money, which they will call oversight money. The real reason being they want to control some money, just in the same way members of parliament control the national government constituency development fund.
Yes.
And the women controlled the National Government Women Empowerment Fund. That is an act of desperation. That conversation should have been driven in the opposite direction, i.e., senators should continue not controlling any money, and members of parliament should similarly not control any money. That is the way we should have driven the argument, and that was the spirit of the Constitution. The second sign that these are acts of desperation is that going to court is actually a waste of time and a waste of money. Why? The issues for which they're going to pray before the court have already been determined. The Supreme Court gave an advisory opinion, and all that was required by Speaker Muturi and leaders of minority and majority in the National Assembly was to move away from impunity and respect that ruling, which was very clear. As Cheriota has said, there is a huge difference when you read the Constitution in terms of the meaning of a matter marked to the National Assembly and a matter marked to Parliament.
Thank you.
I want to conclude by saying that there is a solution. The solution lies in respecting, in the meantime, the law, i.e. the Constitution and the rulings of the Supreme Court, and more importantly, we have finally to amend the article on Parliament so that the National Assembly is clearly, so that the Senate is clearly an upper house, a house of reflection, and it reminds me of Dibal, Martin Shukuku, one of the heroes who fought for democratization of this country. He was telling me, I hear you want to be senator, but don't. I want you to continue being the National Assembly, and since you and I come from Kakamega, you'll be referring things to me as Martin Shukuku, because I'm more experienced. I'll be reflecting on the decisions you have made. That was the framework and spirit of the Constitution. But now we have created an opportunity for the two houses to compete on egos, nothing else.
Thank you. Wamatangi, You have an ego.
Thank you, Bali. Since Senator Boni Halwale, I specifically call him Senator to remind him that he has been in the House, and some of the comments that he's making are quite contrary to what he stood for when he was in the House. But let me first put it clearly, Dibal, since 2013, I do not think that there is any one single time when there has been consensus between the two houses on the division of revenue and then the subsequent allocations to counties. There has never been. And what has happened in only, I think, 2 occasions was that there was mediation that was fruitful and an agreement was arrived at. And what, to me, this points at is that there is still a very clear misunderstanding of what the effect and usefulness of having the Senate's input as to how much should be allocated to counties. And I think, Dibal, I said this last time here, that as per the law, in the year 2014, it was the Senate's mandate as per our law in the transition clauses that allowed the Senate to censure counties, discuss with counties, and then eventually evaluate which counties are ready to take up functions. And that was undertaken. And functions were then all devolved to counties. And subsequently what's supposed to happen is that resources are supposed to follow those functions, which is the core mandate of the Senate. To be able to assess, now that you have devolved these functions to the counties and they must carry them out, then what resources do you need? And I want to say quickly, Dibal, that let us not be blinded by the fact that, yes, there are lots of complaints on how resources have been utilized at counties. Most governors have not been responsible in how they have utilized the resources that they have received. But that should not be the reason why resources should be denied to all counties in a blanket fashion, such that even if there was irresponsibility, what we should be focusing on is to punish the culprits, but not to punish the population. And you see, an act that results in ensuring that resources do not go adequately to counties is not helpful. I just want to say quickly then, Dibal, I want to urge some of the people in the National Assembly, please go out around the counties in the country and see what is happening. And you realize that there is some fundamental changes that you see in our counties that are inspirational, that if we do better, we can have a better country. And we want to ensure that what national government said in all its proclamations before, that we want to see a continued stronger devolution or devolved system. That's what happens. And let me say this lastly. If mediation fails, Dibal, people need to know that there is a recourse. Mediation does not mean that once it has failed, that is the end of the day.
Thank you.
That there is also a provision whereby the two speakers are able to sit down and they can discuss on a reintroduction of the bill within a fast-track process, and you can still have a solution. I think that the solution by the National Assembly to take the bill for assent without exploring the possibilities of mediation, further reintroduction and agreement is wrong advice.
Thank you.
Otherwise, as a country, we must stand for what we voted for in 2010, that we want a devolved system of government and stronger counties.
Right. Finally, let's hear from Moses Kuria.
First of all, let me point out some 2 issues to Aaron Cheriot, because I think it will not be right for me not to comment on this, because he has mentioned. One, was the president right to sign the appropriations bill before this mediation process? And Article 222 of the Constitution empowers him to do that. Vote on account. We cannot hold the country hostage simply because we've not agreed. So I think I want, that is a cardinal work of a president, is to ensure that government is moving on, and we cannot stop at that. 2, he says that if we had a functional Jubilee, we would not have this problem. Sure. If I give you 2 judges, Senator Cheriot, one written Kenya, another one written Jubilee, which one would you pick? Yeah? Which one appeals to you more? Because for me, the Jubilee shirt is very good, but the Kenya shirt it's awesome. It's the real thing. So I want you to take this message to your fellow Tangatangas. Jubilee is a good idea. Kenya is a great idea, We need to move from good to great, yeah? And believe that, really, because At this time, we don't have elections tomorrow. So what is more important today is Kenya, not
But you see,
Jubilee.
there's nothing called Kenya in parliament. They are political parties. That's what I was talking about. If our party that is a majority was properly functioning as a majority party should.
And therein is, I know Jubilee is a home game, and Kenya is an away game for you. But you need to win both home and away.
No,
Yeah?
not true.
I think it's important.
It's not true, Moses.
And please take that message to Tangatanga, that Kenya is more important than Jubilee. Yeah, Jubilee is a good party, ODM is a good party, but Kenya is great, which is mother for all of us. Now, as to the issue of the division of revenue, I think I'll focus on two things. One, on the Constitution. I don't think that the framers of this Constitution envisioned that we're going to have this bickering all the time between National Assembly and the Senate. When we put in 15% as the share of revenue that needs to go to counties, we meant just that, 15%, a scientific figure. And if we are going to, not if, when we are going to have constitutional reform in this country, we are going to say not more than 15% or 20% or 25%. Because if we change the words from not less than to not more than, then all these debate does not arise. But by saying not less than, I would rather we raise the ceiling, but we say not less than. So that all this becomes, so it becomes a scientific, empirical process that can be verified. Secondly,
No, you're not clear. What are you saying?
Let him finish, let him finish.
No, just explain. Yeah.
The problem we have in Boni
Yes, yes.
is that these words not less than 15%.
Yes.
That is why we give ourselves, we abrogate upon ourselves.
Yes.
Deciding is it 16, is it 17, is it 18? Because we are way above 15%. We are way above 15%. We have already, whether we agree or do not agree, we have already met the constitutional threshold. So we have allowed ourselves to interpret the Constitution in such a way which helps us to show Kenyans like you are working for them.
Thank you.
When we are actually useless.
Right.
Now, as for the Senate, I think, and I hope that we are going to have constitutional reform in this country again. And I see two ways. This is the last Senate we are going to have, either in its existence or form. Because the kind of Senate we are going to have going forward, one is either no Senate, so that the job of protecting counties and protecting devolution is going to be vested in the devolution committee of the National Assembly. Without adding any additional cost, they're going to do exactly that. They are going to call governors, they are going to hold them to account. They are the same house that is appropriating monies. So all this drama, because the cardinal point of Senate is protecting counties. Sure, just one committee on devolution, a very powerful committee in the National Assembly is going to do the Senate jobs. Either that or Senator Cheriot, if he becomes Senator of Kericho again,
Thank you.
He's going to spend 3 weeks in Kericho, being the Speaker of Kericho County Assembly, and 1 week in Nairobi, comparing those with other senators. Because this thing of you are in Nairobi, money is being eaten by Professor, I'm just not saying him, there in Kericho, and then you sit here like a mortician telling us how the patient died.
Thank you. Let's leave it at that. I think this is a developing story. We still Boni, let's leave it at that because of time.
Okay.
Yes. This is a developing story, and of course we want to see what will happen out of it. Then we can also have a discussion next week. So let's have some time on that as well. But also Kennedy is saying that Kagumba says, can the two houses work in harmony? If they can't end the rivalry, we will think about amending the law and reverting to one house. And also Elijah Okome saying, today AM Live was moderate and modest. A lot of sense was spewed. I love it that way. But also the octane of
Who is the new guy?
the octane of politics. No, listen to what he says. But the octane of politics spices it up. I hope next show will fly. So also they want the rigorous politics next week also. We'll embark on that.